Portimao is quite a challenging but rewarding track. I'm a professional sim racer, and today I'm sharing the exact references and techniques I use to squeeze every 10th out of this circuit. Let's get you dominating the grid. Let's start now with the deep dive. So for turn 1, essentially what we try to do is we try to position ourselves here already on the left side. What you can do is, if you really want to maximize the corner entry, you can go onto this red and white curb here. Don't go on the red part or the green one, because the red one is just less grip and the green one will be an off track. So basically, as you see, we just go on this one to maximize the track entry. You can go a bit like this, so it's a bit easier for you to see. Then for the reference point, we take the 100-meter board or the line. And what I really love about Portimao is that you have, like, for every hard braking zone, basically those white lines on the ground. And they are on the same level, right, as the 100-meter boards you see here. So essentially, this is why it's so cool and easy to find the braking point for this corner and be consistent, because you have those white lines. So here in turn 1, as you see, this is our reference point, and when the car is basically there, that's why we start the brake, because you see, it's not visible anymore, the white line, just roughly here a bit, and we are already full on the brake. So this is our reference point. We try to brake in a straight line to maximize the braking, but then we need to start to turn the car slightly to the corner inside, so we basically make use of the banking here. And this is something a lot of drivers don't notice, right? They think, yeah, turn 1 is flat with it in terms of track surface, but no, you really have some camber again here on the inside, and this is why it's crucial to have like this initial early entry, right? You don't steer too much initially, but you just introduce the car a bit early, and you see it also with the steering input. Like, we have like almost no steering input because the car rotates on its own. And another point where we don't want to wait longer for the turn is because you have all this pickup here on the exit, and if you use it, you'll just basically understeer. So this is why we need to turn in early. At the apex, we can cut a bit the curb. I would recommend go as close as possible to the yellow part here, but don't cut the yellow one, because it will just basically launch the car into the air. So just as close as possible, as you see here, and then you'll find on the power at the apex, as I said, and run off and maximize the track here on the exit. Be careful, like I can tell you from my own experience, this corner in terms of track limits is horrible. So you really need to be careful and don't cross the white line, because otherwise your entire lap is invalid in turn 1, and you never want to do this, right? The next corner is pretty straightforward. It's again, if you look closely, you have again a bit of banking, so make sure to be here on the inside here at the apex. You don't even need to necessarily cut the curb there as aggressively as in turn 1, but the most important part is that you run white here on the exit, and again, a lovely white stripe on the bottom here, or on the surface, which we again use as a reference point. So where do we brake here? And now it's not exactly on the white line, so to say, but it's like 10 meters before. So you see, we arrive here now on the left side, and now 1 car length or 2 car lengths before, this is where we start to brake. Initially, again, in a straight line, you see the car is parallel to the white line. But when we basically finished the majority of our braking, we already start to do our turn in our trail braking phase, as you see. And why do we do that? Because we need to really do the trail braking to have the weight on the front axle, because the corner gets really tight, and you don't want to overshoot it or don't hit the apex. It's really crucial that you get the car to the inside. And as with the previous corners, you can cut the curb on the inside. And especially like in turn 1, it's crucial because it allows you to drive a tighter line through here, which then helps you to open up the following corner sequence. So in an ideal world, you want to be here on the red and white curb. So even myself could improve here a bit. And then we go on the power. Be careful with the TC here, because if you run low TC, the rear can step out quite easily. So this is really important to watch out. And now, really crucial, right? You see already here on the top of the right, top right screen here, right? The corner goes into an uphill left, and the corner arrives earlier than you think. So you never ever want to run here wide into the rubber, so to say, into the pickup. You want to stay maximum here in the middle of the road and bring the car over the right side, so you can really open up the left-hander here. The ultimate goal is to drive it flat out. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's just a minor lift, but this is your ultimate target, so to speak. And if we go onto the onboard, you also see it really well. You see a bit of oversteer here, so I was a bit too impatient. But I exactly show or do you what I told you before. So I bring the car over the right side, turn in earlier than I think, because if you turn in later, you will get again on the pickup here, and you will just essentially understeer. So if I go a bit back here, you see I turn in, get the car to the inside. There was a small lift. We are on the power almost the entire time, and we use also here the inside curb again. Why? Because this inside curb pulls the car slightly around. So if you don't use it, you have to lift more. So we're still fully on the power, maximizing the track here on the exit. See, this was literally 1 inch or 1 millimeter off and off track, right? So that will destroy our quality. So also here, be careful with the track limits. So the next heavy braking zone, essentially what we do is try to aim for the 100 meter board. Unfortunately, I think that this is the only corner where we don't have like the white line as a reference on the floor, but the cool thing is we still have it for the 150 meter board. So when we pass the 150 meter white line, so to say, on the surface, we can say, hey, we need to brake in a bit. So when we pass the 150 meter board here, you see, that's the white line, and then here the 100 meter board is in our peripheral vision. And what I do here is I don't look at the 100 meter board, I will look at the apex basically already, but I see the 100 meter board in my peripheral vision. And when it basically disappears, that's where I start to brake. So you see it really well. 100 meter board disappears, and now I start to brake. Really important. You have a downhill braking zone, so you have a lot of weight on the front of the car. And what you don't want to do here in this case is you don't want to steer already now, because the moment you start to steer, you get too early to the inside, because this hairpin has a really weird exit, right? So we need to try to take a bit of a later apex in the hairpin, so to say, and this is why we don't turn in so early. You see, I'm still parallel to the white line. Now I turn in, and if I go out now, you see exactly what I mean. I'm not here on the inside, but basically here. And this allows me to have a like incredible exit here. And maximize the track again here, till the white line. The next left-hander is pretty straightforward, in my opinion. It's just flat out and keep the car here already on the left, because we need to be here on the white and red curb for the following double right-hander. And this sequence now is one of the harder ones, I would say, because a lot of people underdrive the car here. And what do? They brake a lot in this part, and then they have to go in between the corners a lot on the throttle. And you don't want to do that. So your ultimate target is, you want to get here onto the red and white curb here, like I do. Go off the throttle and use the brake really gently. You see here, I go slightly back again, because it's so crucial. Here. We arrive with the throttle, and here just those braking applications, like 5% maximum, just to get the front end to bite. That's all you need. You don't really need to slow down the car in this part of the track. And we do this so we have a lot of entry speeds, and we don't need to go on the power between those two corners. So you see, we run wide here, one downshift again to keep the car tight, maximize the track here on the exit. Now we go on the throttle just a bit to position ourselves perfectly, and then onto the brake, not too hard, because if we brake here harder, we run into the ABS and we would understeer. Getting the car now into the inside, and this is again really crucial. The banking on the inside. You want to be here at the apex on the inside and have a bit of an earlier turn in as normal, because you get into the camber, and this allows you to carry the additional corner speed. You see, then here on the apex, on the power, letting ourselves run wide here. Also again, be careful with the track limits. You see it's pretty much on the edge. Following left-hander is flat out. Don't run too wide here on the exit. It's not really necessary in my opinion, because you have, again, if you go onto the onboard, the camber, which helps you to drive the line you want. Now here important, don't think like, yeah, I'm done with the corner, I can run wide. No. Now we need to bring the car basically a bit over to the left side. So don't run here to the right side. Get here onto the left a bit. And now, this is the crucial phase. we want to position the car now a bit pointed towards the inside. So we try to flick the car now a bit more into this direction. And you see it exactly here. See, with my steering input, I'm bringing it to the right, and now still to the right. And exactly at this point, I'm starting to open it up. Why? Because I want to maximize my braking in a straight line. If I start to brake with steer lock applied, I will just literally understeer. Because the ABS will kick in and I have no rotation and also no braking essentially, right? Where do we brake? So I will go a bit further back. And what I do is, again, you see here the 100-meter board, the 50-meter board. This is all in my peripheral vision. And you also have here the orange wall, so to say. And those are the 3 reference points you can use. I recommend you to use something between the 50-meter and the orange board, basically. So when the 50-meter marker basically disappears, that's when I know I can brake. See? And now, really important, don't stay too tight here. Because you had the flick on the entry, we can run ourselves a bit wide here and then use the brake with trail braking to rotate the car and bring the car to the inside. Here, depending on the car you drive, the slower the car class, the more important it is to not get too much onto the left side here on the exit, because if you do that, you have not the rotation or the downforce to bring the car enough over to get the next corner flat. Especially in the GT3s, don't get too wide on the exit too late. As you see, it's not even really that necessary. Just touch the right and wide curb, bring the car in the middle of the road. Use the camber here on the inside to get the corner flat out. Run yourself wide. And here we have a lovely white line on the floor again back, which we use as a reference point for our braking. Initially in a straight line, and then we start to turn in so we can get the car nicely into the banking here. Late apex. A bit of oversteer here. Maximizing the track here on the exit. I think it's again maximum what you need is the right and wide curb. Don't go here onto the full right part, because you don't have the time to bring the car over otherwise to the left. Like, this is a really quick section. Like, you're done with the corner and you immediately continue with bringing the car over to the left, as you see. Might have even could have done a better job maybe to bring it slightly more over here to maximize really the track even more. So in this case, I can also learn something from this. And then get the car into the camber here, late apex, because the corner is so long. And if you are too early on the inside, you will just wait and you will lose so much lap time. It's crazy. So remember, late apex for this corner. And you can go on the power and stay on the inside, use the banking to keep you there, maximize now the track on the exit. And now I give you an esports tip, what the esports drivers do. And the first one is quite obvious. Maximize the track here on the entry, like literally to the last inch. And then you turn in a bit earlier actually than you would normally do. Why? Because you want to get the car here, the inside tire, into this yellow area, because this helps the car to pull around massively. Especially with the fixed setup, you can gain a lot of time on the people who don't do this. So this is like a secret tip for you from my side. Try to get the car here on the inside with the tire. Like, I almost got it there perfectly, but already just taking the curb there pulls your car around, you know. When it comes to setup tips to Portimao, the number 1 rule is high downforce, so high wing, because you have so many long, quick corners. Every click of wing you get additionally just helps you a lot with confidence, drivability, and at the end it will result in more lap time for you. The second part I can recommend you is focus a bit on the dampers, because you have a lot of transition stages and direction changes, and of course you can use also the anti-roll bars for that, but in my opinion, especially with like the gradual braking and just like the really fine driving you need to do at this track, if you set up the damping correctly, you can really gain again and like a nice confidence boost, which helps you then not only with consistency but also with lap time. Last but not least, the track has a lot of slow speed corners, and of course it's good to have rotation and all the high speed stuff, but be careful. if you focus too much on the high speed, it can be like a wrong trade-off, because like, for example, turn 2 is slow speed, then the hairpin at turn 4 or 5, you have like 3-4 hairpins on this track where you need the traction. So just a tip from my side, when you build the setup, think about those slow speed corners, that you don't throw them too much away, with your setup in that regard. So definitely try to also have like some softer springs maybe, so you have like the traction and the nice exit out of the slow speed corners. I hope you guys enjoyed the lap guide. If you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments or join my Discord. And yeah, other than that, I see you in the next stream or next video. Bye bye.